Welcome everyone, Jack Delahy here, founder of collegeconsulting.us. Today I'm going to share with you about a 15-minute video of a past student and parent who are in our program. It seems like just yesterday we worked with Kiley and her mother, and yet here she is, a junior about to be a senior at Boston College. I'm hoping to share this with you because I want to accomplish two things. The first is I hope you understand that if you're a parent out there watching this channel or a student and you feel like the college planning process is overwhelming or stressful or you're confused, I hope this video shows you're not alone. Listen to the first half of our discussion as really unprompted, Kiley and her mother discuss their feelings before, working with us. But then what I also want you to see is kind of the second half of the video when they discuss after they had some tools and processes. And yes, of course, if you come to us and you end up being a fit for the program, we will give you all the tools and processes they talk about. But that's not really the purpose of this YouTube channel. I want to give you tools and resources that can help for entirely free. So after you listen to some of the tools and resources they discuss, feel free to click the links in the description. There's a ton of free resources, and guess what? A lot of them are exactly the same resources that they mentioned that we use in our program, and I just give away to you entirely for free. I just want you to see their discussion of those resources and how it really helped them take control of the college planning journey. That way, maybe you'll be convinced to click those links below and take control yourself. I hope you enjoy.
I really appreciate this. So I'm as I enter 2022 now, there's certain aspects of kind of my program that I'm trying to kind of pawn off. I really, really love helping high school students with all things college planning and the whole marketing aspect and explaining who I am to the world, not so much. And so I hired a media team to basically just run all my stuff, and they were like, you have to get video testimonials. So Here we are. And out of all the families, you were one of the first that I emailed. So I really appreciate you all taking the time.
We're happy to.
Yeah. Awesome. Excellent. Well, again, I promise this won't be more than 15 minutes max here. I guess where I'd love to start, if you don't mind, Kiley, why don't you kind of give me a little bit of background of, let's talk about kind of you working with me. So talk about, high school a little bit and kind of where you were, and then we'll dive into post working with me.
Yeah, so I'm the oldest of 3 kids, so we hadn't had any experience with the college process before me. I was the first one. And around, I think it was junior year of high school, a lot of my friends started getting college counselors, and they started kind of getting involved with the college process. And first of all, I didn't even know you had to start that early. And I was just, me and my parents, all of us, we had no idea how to even go about starting it at all. So we were very lost, and
we really hadn't done anything before you.
Yeah. And then I guess my mom or my dad found Jack through how did you find him?
I actually think I know. This is going to be unusual compared to most of my students, but it was because our dads played hockey together.
Yes. Yeah. So I started working with Jack, and then I basically kind of found my way through the process that way, because you really led me through the whole thing and gave me deadlines and just told me everything that I had to do. So I don't know what I would have done if I was very lost before that, but yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. And let's kind of dive into that feeling before you knew me. So let's say it's junior year, right? Sometime. First of all, tell me, where were you going to high school?
Oh, Wellesley High School in Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts, right? Everyone knows where I am from as well. And public high school, right?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about kind of the guidance that you were getting from your high school, or perhaps lack of guidance, or maybe somewhere in between. What was it like before, working with me?
We didn't really get much guidance at our high school at all. I know every school is different, but I think especially with public schools, you don't get a lot of guidance with the college process. We had this one class that met once a week where we kind of talked about college, but it was more just researching different schools and figuring out what you wanted to do with your life, career wise, but not really, the class didn't really tell you how to apply to college, or if there was other options or anything like that. So yeah, I felt very lost, especially seeing all my friends who had older siblings. They already had a college counselor all lined up for them, or they already knew like their parents knew exactly what to do and when to start and everything. And I felt very behind before I found you. And then like when I started working with you, it was so much better, and I was like much more comfortable because I had a plan and like I knew that I was on track, which before I felt very like off track and I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to like apply to college or if it was too late or yeah.
And I will say a part of it was you actually put in the work. So let's be clear there. There's a reason you're one of my favorites, and it's because you actually put in the work. And I mean, a lot of our calls were via Zoom, and when I'd say, hey, here's something you need to do X, Y, and Z by our next meeting, you'd come and you'd do it, and you'd do it a week early. Staying on that theme, Amy, from a parental perspective, at what point did you say, maybe I need to look elsewhere beyond Wellesley High School?
So Kiley actually came to us very stressed out in her junior year. Like she said, all of her friends were talking about college counselors, and she's our first. I didn't know that I assumed that the public high school would guide us through this process. And there really wasn't much guidance. Wellesley High School is a huge school, so each guidance counselor has a lot of students. So then I started talking to friends who had older kids, and they said, yeah, it's common, to hire someone to help you, because she's our first, and we didn't really even know where to begin. And as far as like all the deadlines and all that stuff, like we were very overwhelmed before you, and just having you be able to tell Kiley, this is what you have to do and this is when you have to do it, and taking that off of me and my husband so that we didn't have to be the ones to be telling her.
Not that you would have even known what to tell me.
Right, I wouldn't have, but here, having it come from someone else, I think was,
Yeah,
it was kind of that intermediate buffer, if you will, which
yeah.
I actually get a lot of parents say, I could probably like Google a bunch of stuff and figure this out, but also then it's me, mom or dad, telling
right.
I don't want to talk about that at the kitchen table. Like I want to talk about other things.
Right. And with the early decision, early action, there was just so many things involved that we didn't know, about and, what to do. So.
Excellent. So Kiley, now let's fast forward to you joined my program. We worked together for, it felt like probably a year and a half, right? So probably something around that. And tell me, as you were going through the program, and this is actually, I might take this snippet and send it to other students who have either already joined or that type of thing, but what were some of your favorite parts of the program? And you can talk about ones you actually enjoyed or ones you at least just felt most helpful, but in your mind, which aspects of kind of how I taught stood out to you?
Well, I really liked that we kind of had our schedule where we'd meet, I think it was once a week, and then you would give me like assignments to do, and then I would know that I was on track with like the application process. But I guess even before that, like finding different schools, you were super helpful in like exposing me to schools that I'd never even heard of or like that I didn't know existed, that I actually really ended up liking, because I feel like once you got to know me as a person, it was like easy for you to recommend schools that would be a good fit for me. And I forget what you called it. There was like this timeline where you'd place like different schools. Yeah. Or there was the tracker, and then there was something where you put like different schools and rank like how likely I was to like, get in and like all this other information about them. And that was super helpful for me to have like laid out as a visual. And that's obviously something I never would have been able to do myself or figure out myself. I'm trying to think. And yeah, just like the overall schedule of it and the tracker with like when I would tour places, you would have like all the dates lined up for me. So I knew when all my deadlines were and when I had to do everything by. And the essay was super helpful. I didn't know anything about the essay going into it, and you just really cared, like you helped me so much with the essay, and it was, that was very helpful.
I appreciate it. You just named a lot of components there. So I appreciate it. And it's interesting, a student like you, because you put in the work, like it truly was enjoyable for me as a coach. And when you go through all of those items, it does make you realize over a long period of time, that's actually like a lot of work. But, kind of the theme of my program is when you do it in small chunks over 18 months. It's really just not that much at any one time, and it shouldn't be overwhelming. Did you feel similarly?
Yes. Yeah. I was never overwhelmed. Like, obviously before I found you, I was overwhelmed, but then like when I was working with you, I never felt behind or overwhelmed at all. I've always felt very on track and like confident with where I was in the process.
Love that. That's great. That's the goal. And Amy, same question to you, just from a parent perspective. Was there anything about kind of the program or my coaching style that stood out to you?
One thing I really liked that you had her do was tour schools that maybe she would never go to that school, but we went and we toured, and she wrote down things about that particular school that she liked, that she didn't like, the size, the student, the feel, the campus, the dorms, if they had sports and all that. And so she could take those, that feedback and bring it to you, and you could suggest other schools that might be a good fit for her with those qualities. So that was something that I really, would never have thought to do. And I think that was great. But it just, it took so much pressure off of us, I think, is the bottom line. Because, you only get one shot to do this with your kid. And with our first kid, we really didn't know what to do. So I just liked how she knew. She would call with Jack. She'd go do her call, come back with her list of things to do. She would do them and then move on to the next. So It was very seamless.
Yeah.
And like I said, again, it's seamless because you put in the work, Kiley, and you should be proud of that. So let's get to the fun now. Where are you these days?
I'm at Boston College. I'm a sophomore now.
And are you liking it?
I love it. Yes. It's a great fit.
I will tell people, because again, this isn't the case for everybody, but this was Kiley's top choice school, if I recall. Yes?
Yes. I applied ED2 there, so.
Applied early decision 2 there and was accepted, which was pretty tremendous. And if I recall, I believe we had a pretty lengthy discussion about ED2 and all of that, what it entailed and how it is binding, and you understood that, right? And these are small things, but if I recall, your grades, your test scores, everything, it was a target or possibly even a reach school for you. Yeah. And we utilized everything to give yourself the best chance of acceptance. Everything from your essay to your application to applying in a window, ED2, that is binding and comes with more of a commitment, but gives yourself a better chance of acceptance. So again, props to you for embracing all of that and following through. And hey, world, whoever's going to see this is a real live example of someone who got into their top choice school. Kiley Chase.
Yeah, she's so happy. It's so good to see her so happy.
Tell me one aspect before we conclude here of what's something about Boston College that you're just loving.
I mean, it's hard to think of like one specific thing. I love the sports games, the football games, so fun. And I love my classes. I'm a marketing major, and this year, since I'm a sophomore, I get to take more like classes geared towards my major, and I'm just really enjoying that too.
Excellent. Well, it is great having you in the program. And perhaps, maybe this is for my sake, maybe for other students, but can you say something before we end here about, I'll kind of back up. My teaching methodology is very much, I like to give students the tools to take ownership of their own college planning process. And there are other college coaches out there who mom and dad can pay money and have them babysit them through the college, start to finish, and in essence, do it all for them. And I mean, this. I don't like that. My whole thing is I like to give students the tools to say, hey, these are my 4 years. These aren't Jack's 4 years. These aren't Amy's 4 years. These are my 4 years. And you have to work for it. So can you give me anything, some sort of a quote that I can then put and say, look, this is a super successful student of mine, about you got to put in the work?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I feel like you gave me all the tools and everything necessary that I could work with to use to make my application as good as I possibly could, but without actually putting in the work and trying my hardest to utilize what you gave me to my best ability, then I wouldn't have been able to have as successful of an experience probably. And also another thing that I really enjoyed is that you were very easy to reach. which is, as I forgot to say this earlier, but that's something that like a lot of my friends didn't have with their college counselors. Like they couldn't just text them. They had like one window a week where they could meet with them, and they had to ask like all their questions at that time. And with you, I could literally like text, call, email, like any time of the day, any day, and you were available to answer my questions. So that was really cool.
Yeah. Is he frozen?
I think so.
Oh no. What happened? Oh. Oh. Where'd he go?
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Excellent. Okay, I'm back. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but I could hear you. I don't know. It kicked me out, and I'm back. I could hear everything you said about putting in the work, so I appreciate it. To summarize, it really is a two-way street, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, that's awesome. That's all I have. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for being one of my favorite students of all time, and it's so glad to see you succeeding. And just know you always have me. All right, Kylie, and goes the same to you, Amy. I'm always here. Once you're a student of mine, you're a student of mine for life. So just know that I'm always here.
Thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, thank you. It was great to see you.
Absolutely. Great to see you both. Don't be a stranger. Keep me posted on all of your successes in life, Kylie, which I'm sure there are many to come. And we'll keep in touch. But happy holidays to you and the family.
Okay, happy holidays.
All right.
All right.
All right. Good to see you. Bye-bye.
See you.